Hello, everybody. We are doing episode number 35. This is a Ask Me Anything, a Q&A, question and answer. We're going to ask each other questions that have come from our followers, our subscribers, and we're celebrating 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. Unbelievable. There's 5,000 people that subscribed. There's 5,000 people that subscribe to us on YouTube. Unbelievable.
What a shock.
Literally, what a shock. Thank you so much. I think we'll start with a big thanks and thank you so much for the support. Since releasing the Flower Story documentary a couple of weeks ago, we've seen a huge surge in subscribers and much more commentary, questions, and dialogue around the content that we're putting out there at By the Drip. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We're going to keep pushing and working to make better quality, better productions like this one. We've Jimmy rigged all sorts of different cameras.
We made it now
on this one. Can you believe that?
We made it, baby. Number one.
Unbelievable. We're not quite there, Dave. We have 5,000 subscribers, man. Slow down. All right, so
can we start?
We've gathered a whole bunch of questions from social media.
Okay.
And we're going to pass the phone back and forth, and we're going to answer as many of these questions as we can, put together a nice little compilation, and we're going to have some fun today. What do you think? You ready?
I'm ready, man. This
Okay.
is take 5 or 6, so we're ready.
Yeah, we've done this a couple of times. Okay, first question. This is a question we actually get quite a bit. Are you biological brothers?
Do you answer that, or do I answer that?
Well, I asked it, so I think you should answer it. I think that's how this works.
We are. Cole and I are half brothers. And we get this question quite a bit. Some people, when they see us, they can immediately identify that we're brothers. And then there's a lot of people that just don't believe us. So we're half brothers. And without going too much into the backstory.
I want to hear the backstory, man.
Yeah, we're not telling the backstory. But Cole and I didn't grow up together, but we're half brothers. And coffee and life brought us together. And now we travel the world as full brothers.
Coffee, yeah.
No, as full brothers, right?
Oh, as full brothers. Yeah. I see. I love you half as much as my full brother.
I know.
That's just a joke.
Damn you, Reese.
It's just a joke. Yeah.
The bigger question is who is older? And I think today you're looking a little bit younger than I am today.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
But normally Cole looks much older. And he cut his hair. That old hairstyle, man.
I've actually been making lifestyle choices to try to slow down my aging, because so many people think I'm older than Dave, and every time I hear that, it just
feels good.
Great. It feels great. Great question. We are biological brothers. Thank you for asking and making us answer on a camera.
It's confirmed.
Everything Dave said is true.
Oh, is it?
For the first time, everything Dave said is true.
First time.
And yeah, coffee brought us together. It was working together that really solidified our...
Yeah, it sounds like it. You got a lot of passion in that answer. Okay, man, let's go. Next question. We got a heart out here. We got these poor people. They have to listen to this.
Okay, next question. What does the name By the Drip mean?
I was hoping we'd reveal this much later.
Why?
I don't know. So we can get to 50,000 people listening and wanting to know what the hell By the Drip means.
I'm curious, man.
Oh, yeah.
That was actually my question that I contributed.
Yeah, that's you. I was supposed to ask a question to you, though.
Well, you...
Okay, you're getting 2 questions in. So By the Drip, we have to give a shout out. Nelson actually came up with the name. Nelson Fu, Canadian Barista Champion 2024. And the start of the show was just me. And I was going to interview coffee folks, but also entrepreneurs and people in business. And so I have a mug, which I don't have with me, that says "Buy the Dip," and it has Warren Buffett on it, who's a very famous investor. And the dip is when a stock price starts to go down, and you buy the very bottom of it, and then ideally it starts to go back up. And we were trying to figure out a name for the podcast and what was going to go on. There's lots of conversation on what would work. There's a bunch of terrible names thrown out there, and then Nelson came up with "Buy the Drip," and we liked the ring of it. And it refers to like drip coffee and coffee, but also refers to what's going on in the market and business. And so we kind of put the two together. And I'm a bit of a boomer, so I didn't realize drip actually means like cool outfits and, you know.
Yeah, I love what you're wearing.
Yeah, like this is pretty drip, right? Yeah, so we found that out after the first couple episodes. But that's okay. We stuck with it. People say, like, when people say it, I don't, usually it's like, oh no. But it sounds like really cool. We're pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
We're pretty cool guys now.
Cool. So it's got market influence in either traditional markets, cryptocurrency markets. The line "buy the dip" is the idea of buying when the price is low. Buy low, sell high is the idea.
You don't do that, but that's no problem.
Yeah, I don't do that. I buy high and then I get stuck. Buy the drip is, referring to Dave's cool clothing and the exclusivity, limited, fun, fashionable stuff. And then buy the drip is also talking about coffee. There's a funny thing where, generally speaking, I would say the drip coffee is usually the best dialed in thing in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And often it's the best value proposition. So it also plays into your everyday coffee shop that if you buy the drip, you're buying low, but you're probably getting higher value. There's a pro tip.
Makes a great cup.
Okay, passing it over.
Okay, next question. Oh, this one's pretty important. You ready? This is getting quite personal. Someone is asking, is Cole single?
Yeah, I'm a single espresso type of guy. I find.
Oh, you like singles?
Yeah, singles are sweeter, man.
So how many grams in?
12.
And output?
24. Is that your question?
That's it. That's all I got, man.
Good one.
Okay. I got another one.
Okay.
Is Rosso going to open any cafes in Toronto?
In Toronto, specifically in Toronto.
I guess they're shouting out Toronto here.
Shout out Toronto. The 6. We've looked at it. Rosso, for anybody that's listening, we have a coffee company called Rosso Coffee Roasters. If you go on the website, you'll see all sorts of different coffees, and you'll see that we have 5 cafe locations based in Calgary. We have explored other markets. We have explored Toronto. We haven't come to any sort of definitive we need to be anywhere type of mindset. We're still exploring. Coffee shops are very challenging. It's a very tough business. Toronto is a wonderful city, but it's also, I think, a tough market. There's a lot of very, very top quality coffee there. So we're not 100% certain where we want to go in terms of retail footprint for Rosso, but that is something maybe in 2025 we will better.
Yeah, I think we want to go to more open space, per se. But let's see what we do in 2025. We got a few things in motion, but we can't say too much here. But stay tuned as always.
Yeah, these Q&As are fun when you don't give the full answer, man.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Just like your single espresso answer.
Okay, Dave, this is a tough one.
Okay.
Would you rather be able to fly?
Yep.
No, I haven't finished the question.
Sorry, I'm stating yes. Okay.
Would you rather be able to fly or be invisible?
I'd rather be able to fly or be invisible. I rather fly. I think when you go the invisible route, you're a bit of a creep.
Yeah, you get into some weird shit.
You're up to no good.
I was gonna say, depending how you answer this is gonna be a judgment of your character.
Yeah, you gotta pick flying, because going invisible is it's adding up to some weird stuff. So it's it would be nice, quick commutes.
You'd lose your status on the airlines.
That's okay. I rather much give up my status and just fly.
Okay, next question.
What are you gonna answer?
I would also fly. I go with the same answer. I think the invisible thing, you'd get into too many weird situations and scenarios, and I agree, you'd become a creep or a voyeur or something, something like that. And no. Would you rather rub your eyes with bird-eye chili or eat a rotten boiled egg?
I've eaten a rotten boiled egg, a century egg. I guess it's not rotten.
Yeah, I don't know if that's considered rotten.
I don't know.
Put some respect.
I'm taking the egg.
I would take the egg too.
I think doing anything to your eyes, you got long-term damage.
Yeah, high risk, low reward.
Yeah. What are we getting though when we do it?
There's no reward, man. It's just
you gotta take it. Okay. What is your favorite country you have ever visited? This is a good one. I like this one.
Yeah, great question. We've been super fortunate to travel to many countries through coffee. That was definitely not something that we were anticipating would be part of the roadmap when we got into the industry 15 plus years ago. I think for me, one of the favorite countries I've visited is recently we went to Malaysia. I really enjoyed Malaysia. I thought the mix of cultures that's based in Malaysia with sort of Chinese, Indian, some American, or not American, Chinese, Indian, Malaysian, and I believe British influence is just super fascinating to create this sort of melting pot, very unique cultural background, interesting culinary, fascinating, build of cities, interesting architecture, cool, ginormous towers. They love ginormous towers there. It's a country I would definitely like to go back to and visit more of. We only got to go to Kuala Lumpur, but that was a handful of days that I personally really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was beautiful there. Great hospitality, amazing food. My answer would be probably Rwanda. It's an amazing country that we've been to a few times. And obviously what the history they've gone through and how the country was able to rebuild. The people are just absolutely amazing. The hospitality there, second to none. Coffee, we love there. Our time that we spent there, we probably spent over the course of traveling there like a month, and there's just such an amazing atmosphere there. They have this, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the first or last Sunday of each month, everything shuts down and everyone goes essentially into the streets and helps clean like their community. Do you remember what it's called?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
And it's just, there's so many things like that go on, and we just really enjoyed our time there. It's very beautiful, very peaceful, and super safe. So love Rwanda.
What is your biggest pet peeve in the coffee industry?
Well, in the coffee industry,
That's what I asked, yeah.
Single espressos. I'm just joking. I don't know if it's my biggest pet peeve, but it's come up a lot, is roast dates. And there's, I think we've kind of like taught consumers our like big competitive advantage in specialty coffee is freshly roasted coffee. And over the last 2 years, we've been on the road so much, and we've had roasts that are like 90 days off roast. and people taste the coffee and are absolutely shocked that the coffee was roasted, 70 days ago, 80 days ago, and it's tasting outstanding. And it hasn't lost any character. And there's kind of this, whatever, preconceived notion that, only up to 14 days or 21 days is that like the peak of coffees. And I think we got consumers coming into the cafes and they're like looking for like yesterday's roast and brewing it immediately, and it's like that's not the best version of that coffee. So I don't think that's like my top pet peeve, but it's something that we got to kind of restructure to the consumers, that like aged coffee is okay, or like in competition or in the cafes, like aged coffee can taste amazing.
Yeah, I think it's a great answer. I think to build on that, we've essentially made it harder for ourselves as an industry by saying it has to be fresh, is I think the pet peeve there, right?
Yeah, the best is fresher. Like fresh, 2 days off roast is going to achieve the best results, and it's like that makes the logistics side of the business incredibly hard, but it's also not true.
Yes,
it's not. But it doesn't taste the best at 2 days, 3 days off roast. It tastes better as it ages, and that's not like our competitive advantage anymore. Like in specialty, we gotta be telling the stories of coffee and figure out like the next steps of what's consumers should be focusing on. Okay, what's your big pet peeve, or what's your newest one?
That's my newest one. I have a lot of pet peeves in the industry, to be honest with you, which I think has a lot to do with the fact that we're a very young industry, and even though we've come a long way, we've still got a long way to go. Just there's a lot of cracks in the pathway that we're walking that makes it more challenging or more difficult for people to participate. I think one pet peeve as of recently is the conversation of authenticity. And Dave and I are again, we're able to travel to many different coffee shops. We've explored roasteries and cafes kind of all over the world at this point, and we have a pretty solid understanding of different coffees from different origins. And there's many times where we're sitting drinking a cup of coffee, and I can tell you with 100% certainty it is not what we purchased, it is not what we paid for. It is not the coffee that the menu reads that it is. And it's not that the barista made a mistake. It's just that they're selling something that's different to what the label reads, and they think it's okay because our industry is so young and our consumers are not, educated to a top echelon or top tier. They're not able to distinguish differentiation. And I don't think we're necessarily able to distinguish differentiation either. But a big challenge in our industry, I think, is following the authenticity from a producer, that then the coffee goes to a roaster, that then the coffee goes to a coffee shop or a home consumer, whatever that might be. And there's so many times that the coffee has to exchange hands before finally landing here in my cup. That gives a lot of opportunity for people to take advantage of that system. And we've seen a lot of that happening all over the world. And to me, that's a big pet peeve, because I think the people that are participating in, let's say, smoke and mirrors type of business, where they're advertising one thing for the betterment of their own brand, they're really detracting clients from coming into the specialty space. They're not benefiting or growing our market or growing our industry. The same thing in competitions. If you're not serving the coffee that you're stating that you're serving, you're doing a disservice to the industry, and you're driving forward ego beyond anything else. And I think that for me is one of my biggest pet peeves today, is just seeing a dishonest service or a dishonest.
I think part of the problem though is, I'm a barista and I'm working. The package says it's this beautiful coffee from wherever. There's no way for me to validate that.
That's part of the pet peeve, I think, is we need to create a system where we can have those validations, and I can know with more certainty, it will never be 100%, but I can know with more certainty that the product in this package is what the label reads. I think that's really important, because another element to it, let's say I'm walking down the street with a bag of coffee, or a big box that has 10 kilos of coffee in it, and I know what the price of those kilos are. As Cole, I'm walking down the street and I've got these 10 kilos, and I know, let's say for easy math, it's $100 per kilo is what I have in my bag. And I get on the bus and I forget that bag on the bus, and somebody else picks up that bag of 10 kilos. All of a sudden the value of that bag goes right back to just being a coffee, and coffee as a commoditized good.
Hang on. Why are you getting on the bus?
I'm just saying in a hypothetical.
You got all this expensive coffee, you're getting on the bus.
Okay, I get into a...
I'm just joking.
I know you're just joking.
We're having some fun.
Listen,
so
you're
serious.
My biggest pet peeve in the
Thank God
industry.
you answered 2 questions at once. Okay, keep going. Get your rant out.
So there's no way to pick up a bag of coffee and have somebody look at it and go, oh wow, this is worth X dollars per kilo, because really the value of coffee today is dictated by the hands of the person who's holding it. Can I ask you another question?
Let's hit a question now that we've...
Okay. How can I control my emotions?
Is that an actual question?
That's an actual question.
Is it really?
Yeah.
How can you control your emotions? I think there's a few things. There's being stoic, or reading the philosophy around it, would be quite important if you're trying to control your emotions. There's a lot of techniques that people use in that philosophy to handle your reactions. I think another key point would be, things are going to always happen to you, and your mindset needs to be, how are you going to obviously react to it? And that's the thing that you can control. So you can't control what's coming in, but you can control what's going out. And I think a lot of people, especially around competitions or businesses, make very emotional decisions, which can lead to some great results, but taking the time and moment to process things, and then almost stepping outside of yourself and those emotions and making the decision that way, can help bring it to the next level. And we have I use this quite a bit. There's kind of like storytelling and fact. Storytelling is usually lining up with emotion, and fact is usually lining up with numbers or more concrete ideas. And storytelling is good in a certain sense, but you need to layer both of those together, and usually the better decision making usually is on the other side. Not everything can go through that lens of being so rational, but quick off the cuff reactions can lead to some bad decision making, in my non-emotional view.
I think also breath work, mindful practices, meditation, keeping with routine, consistency. These are other ways that you can regulate or try to control your emotions. And the better you become at expressing your emotions, the better you become at also controlling them.
Yeah, I think also not pushing them down.
Yeah. If you're always bottling them up, they're more likely to explode.
Yes. So you need to be able to channel that, but it's channeling it in the right direction through, maybe it's breath work or exercise or journaling or whatever way works best for you, but not in that moment and going back at the person. Was Mickey a pain to work with?
Excuse me?
I don't know, man. That's from your account.
I've been wanting to talk about this.
Okay, get it off your chest, man. Here's your chance. Just look at that camera and you tell it the way it is.
Was Mickey a pain to work with? No.
Borem was.
No. No, honestly, everybody's got their pros and cons with working with them. Everybody's got a different style of practice.
Pros and
Everybody's
cons, eh?
yeah.
What's a con? What's a con?
The con of working with you is you interrupt my state of flow.
Okay,
And
let's go. Flow state.
all right, we're back in the flow state. The biggest challenge with working with Mickey was we only got to see his presentation once per day, and that was both a really interesting opportunity opened for us and just change in perspective, but also very hard because that's not the way we're used to working. So I think to further answer that question, I'd recommend going backward in our podcast and listening to maybe number 33, a conversation with Miki about how the flower story blossomed. It's titled. So I would recommend going back to that. But short answer, no, Miki was not a pain to work with.
Yeah, agree 100%. Mickey was absolute pleasure working with. I think every competitor we have ever worked with has never been a pain. I think with Mickey, he came with a background of competing quite a bit. And so the one thing we're hesitant is like, are competitors willing to receive feedback? And that was not a concern, but you just don't know how they're going to take. We try to be effective and very direct with our feedback, and you just don't know how they're going to react to that. But he would just say, "Okay, yeah, I agree or disagree," and that was the decision and framework. And it was an amazing time we spent together training. So no pain points.
Great answer.
Thanks.
Is the coffee competition scene drifting from its original purpose?
Its original purpose. It would be interesting to look back. I don't know where we would find this, but look back and see, what the rules stated and what they were looking for in a champion. I think the industry kind of ebbs and flows with barista competitions and like what it means to the industry and what it means to the average barista. And we interviewed Tim the other day, and he's kind of an OG like us. And I think from 2009 or even earlier till like 2015, it felt like it was everything was around WBC. And now I think we're just so inundated with like different things going on in the industry, which is good or better, that it's not the same focal point. But I think it fits in within the industry and is a part of it, and it plays its role. No different than creating like coffee content like this, or a newsletter, or other things. It's just another roadmap or a way for people to get either into the industry or find their passion in coffee. I don't know if that directly answers it, but
yeah, I think the tough part about this question is the underline on what is the original purpose of coffee competition, and that there are two more stages to this question. So more competitors now favor luxurious, highly processed coffees over showcasing natural terroir. Will traditional coffee get its moment again? So I'm going to jump in and assist on the first part of the question, the original purpose. I think the coffee competition scene, a lot of people think it's a coffee competition, but it's a barista competition. It's a brewer's competition. These two premier competitions are not about the coffee. Latte art is not about the coffee.
what?
All of these competitions are truly not about the coffee. But where we've become distracted in the industry is this hyper focus on the coffee. And I think this second part of the question is kind of underlining that, talking about how most competitors think it's all about, who bought the most expensive coffee, who's got the rarest coffee, who's got the varietal that we've never heard of, the exotic, thing that's new this year that, oh, wow, Dave discovered this and showed it to the world. That stuff doesn't really matter. the end of the day, the person that wins in the competition should be the best barista, the best brewer, the best cup taster, the best latte artist, the best Chesvain and Ibrick, maker. It's less about the coffee and more about the person. And if you can understand that, you can just unlock so much more in the world of coffee competitions, because we're distracted as an industry for what the purpose is. It's not about the luxury. It's not about the highest price point. It's not about all of those things related to the coffee. And if you analyze the coffees that win year after year, you will see that there is no pattern. It's not the highest price point. In Brewers Cup, there was a handful of years there where it was one farm that won every time. So maybe there's a bit of an anomaly there. But through the rest of the history of competitions, I believe the original purpose is still finding the quote unquote best barista in the world. And realistically, it's really only the best barista in that year that participated.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You have to compete to kind of fall under that too.
mm-hmm.
So the best barista in the world might be someone who's working, wherever, and they're crushing out 1,400 drinks, and everyone, all of them taste excellent. They could be the best barista in the world. We don't know. This is just a format to find someone in that box, and I think people kind of get caught up that it's a set of rules, just like playing, I don't know, basketball or football is a set of rules, and yeah, there could be someone who could shoot better threes than Steph Curry, but Steph Curry is considered the best because they've won the most championships and the most 3 points and
through participation,
being in the NBA versus I'm
playing
on this street
rec basketball team.
Yeah, I shoot 50% when I played basketball. 50%. Can you believe that? 50%.
Okay, third step of this question. Are fancy gadgets like new cups and filters overshadowing barista's craft?
I don't think so. Some people love that stuff, the grinder reviews and
This is still related to competition.
okay. Yeah, some people like whatever the whole industry or within competition. Some people are really into the tech. Some people are really into the coffee. Some people get caught up in roasting. I think it's all okay. It doesn't. There's no sweet spot. It shifts and it moves. If you look at processing and heavily processed coffees right now, or like thermal shock and coffees like that are really like pushing the limit on coffee, where 5 years ago or 7 years ago that didn't quite happen. And 7 years ago it was probably, I can't remember, but like brewing technology or Cropster first came on the scene, and that was changing everything. So I think we just ebb and flow out of different things, and it's just to support and provide different dialogue into the industry. And I think it's just like a supporting mechanism. As the industry gets bigger and bigger and more people like join the journey of like specialty coffee, we're going to see an influx of those things. And I think, to me, as a business person and someone in the competition scene, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to having new gadgets and gizmos and cups and filters, and I don't think they take away from the barista craft. I think, generally speaking, they complement the barista craft. And I'm similar to you. I'm supportive of this space. My challenge is sometimes we're innovating to innovate, and sometimes the voice of reason is a person in a place of power that's saying, you need this thing. And a lot of times I think the tools that are coming out are gimmicks. They're not doing what they're saying they're doing. They're not proven by data. They're kind of, as you said earlier, there's fact and there's story. A lot of it is story. And a lot of them, frankly, don't work. And they're expensive often. They don't function the way they're supposed to function, or they do function the way they're supposed to function. They don't do the action they say they're supposed to do. So my big thing would be, if you're a new barista, don't focus 100% on the tools you have. Focus on the skills that you can build,
Yeah,
the
that's what you need.
fundamentals
Yeah,
that you can build, and use. Don't spend a bunch of money on buying
that sick
high price
grinder.
point,
Oh, that new
whatever.
sick grinder.
Yeah,
Let's watch the review. Would you ever coach anyone for free?
I do all the time, man.
I'm coaching you every day.
I'm coaching you every day.
Put me in, coach.
No.
Okay.
Would we ever coach anyone for free? I think it's a big, broad question, but yeah, we work with. If you're part of our company back home, if you're part of Rosso, we put in hours and we put in time to build, competitors, build baristas up from within the business. So I think that answers that question. I don't know if that technically qualifies for that question.
Sure.
And then I think there would be examples where we would jump in to support somebody if we believed in and felt the right situation. I'm not exactly sure how to answer that, but I think yes.
Yeah, I think the short answer is yes. We often, obviously traveling and leaving home, that puts certain things on hold. So being compensated for that usually is part of our role. Um, we did this for a long time with, only expenses going in. And lots of people over the years told us to quit and stop. Um, yeah, I think it's a tough question for us to answer because some people.
I think if we zoom out of coffee as it is right now and zoom into other spaces, other arenas, I think it's really important that the way that people participate is not always for free. Take the NBA. You referenced the NBA earlier. The NBA is built on viewership, and if it's not for the viewers, there is no revenue. So as an industry, we need to grow viewership in order to grow revenue within speaking directly to world coffee competitions. And then once we can grow revenue and viewership, we can start to grow and build teams. We can start to build, more proper, more structured, more.
Yeah, we create funnels into it. So it's like, oh, instead of you having to pay to compete at the very start, it could be free because that's covered by sponsorship, or it's the beginners league that feeds up to the main league.
And we're seeing that in some countries now. And what we're starting to also see, and something that Dave and I are really trying to push for, is some sophistication in terms of the roles surrounding the competitions. We love coaching, we love supporting competitors, we love the act of being within the arena, but it's also really important that people that participate are reciprocated for that. And the baristas that win their nationals, baristas that are in the finals of their nationals, baristas that are in different rankings within the world, that there should be some sort of monetary compensation. There should be opportunities that show up for these baristas. That same thing should apply to the businesses if they're hired by a roastery or cafe or whatever that might be. There should be some compensation or opportunity that shows up there, whether it's dollar figures or just general growth opportunities in the market. There should be a realm for coaching and bringing somebody in that's external to your operation if that's within your scope and that's within your desire. And there should be opportunity that's seen there. And we should start to really try to carve out these different opportunities in the space for everybody to succeed. Because something that we've seen historically, and this kind of goes to one of the previous questions, if a barista wins using a certain farm's coffee, let's say Finca Dave, just for the conversation, usually it's that farm that ends up getting the most benefit from it because that leads to other people wanting to buy coffee from Finca Dave. And that's great that more dollars are going back to support Finca Dave and leading to a trend where next year, rather than just I used Finca Dave, now 5 competitors use, and 10 and then 40 competitors, and next thing Finca Dave's a competition farm, you know, we need to spread the love and spread the opportunity across the board to all parties and all stakeholders involved. And we need to build more sophistication within and around this space. So, yes, we would coach for free, but I also challenge you to seek opportunity and seek some sort of compensation for how you participate and show up with others in the competition space in order for us to continue to build the industry into more of a true sport, into more of a true arena, to gain more followers or viewership, and really start to build this thing to be, supported in a much more integral way that has sustainable roots that we can continue into the future.
Do you believe in thermal shock? Why don't we see it used elsewhere?
Do you think that's referencing elsewhere in the industry, like elsewhere in
I think they're referencing it's only going on at like certain farms. Why isn't it being done in Rwanda?
I see. Do I believe in thermal shock? Yeah, I believe in thermal shock. Do
you believe in the moon landing?
Do I believe that thermal shock is the end all
That means
be
no.
all? Do I believe that thermal shock is the end all be all for coffee? Absolutely not. I think there's processing innovations that are going on. I think that's fantastic. Do I think it's kind of trending in a little bit? Yeah, but I think trends are going to ebb and flow in our industry. Thermal shock will have its space. It will continue to be a thing, and it might grow to be seen in other countries. It might grow to be seen in other platforms or pathways in the coffee industry, but I believe in it. Yeah. We did a great conversation with Juan Pablo Campos, where he describes the full practice of thermal shock that's going on at El Diviso and Las Flores and some of the coffees from Lojas Beans. And it is fascinating to understand. I've never been there physically, so I'm just going on his word for it. But it's a pretty well broken down step by step traceability or
No, a systematic approach to processing coffee.
yeah. And I do have lots of questions. I have noticed in the last maybe 2 months a few of the farms that are doing thermal shock and say they're not doing any infusion or co-fermentation type of stuff. I've seen their coffees on menus that are co-fermented and that are infused, and so I think we need to just open the Pandora's box on what's going on in a lot of those different operations and just be again authentic with what is happening, because I think some stuff's thermal shocked, some stuff's co-fermented, being said it's thermal shocked, some stuff might be both. At the end of the day, I believe in thermal shock.
Okay, this is more of a statement than a question directed at you.
Okay.
Cool, you should consider regrowing the beard again.
I'm okay.
We should get a photo right now of you from 2019 with the beard. How long did it take you to grow the beard?
A couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
No, I think I had it for,
No, the big, thick beard.
yeah, dude, I know what you're talking about.
How long did that take? That didn't take a couple of weeks.
Obviously not. That was a joke.
We're not
Chill out, man.
in a joking mood here. 6 months it took?
No, I think I had it for a year plus. Next question. Can you tell me about your skincare routine?
None.
You have no skincare routine.
I used to, and yeah, I dropped it, man.
Profound.
I'm trying to go like, it's the older brother here. I'm trying to go like all natural.
Yeah. I still dye my hair.
I know, it's brutal. It's just brutal.
So nothing. You get out of the shower and
Just go. Let's go, baby.
No face scrub in the shower. No.
No, man. Just give it a quick wash. And
Yeah. Okay.
what's your routine? You sound like you got some system like thermal shock for the face.
Yeah. Yeah. I thermal shock my face.
It's not helping people.
No, I don't have much of a skincare routine. I put lotion on, but it's because I have very fair, dry skin. So if I don't, you would possibly, depending on the climate, the humidity, whatever, you might see that my
You're 20 years older than I am.
no, you would just see I have dry skin. So I put on a lotion of some sort. I don't know what it's called. It's got.
I find that. Anyways, next question. Let's
It's
go.
yeah, okay. What do you think about exclusivity in green purchasing? Let's say exclusivity in green purchasing related to a country.
Like, sure. Uh, for me, that's like businesses have to operate the way that, people in charge want it to operate. If they want to sell to one person and like simplify logistics, they put some risk into, they have one buyer or three buyers instead of 10 or 50, then I, I don't have a problem with it. Obviously, if you're on the other end of things, you only have one source to buy green coffee, then yeah, they're going to have market dominance. They can charge higher prices, restrict things. You can't get access, et cetera, et cetera. But I think we should have market forces dictate these things and let the market act the way it needs to act. So I don't think someone should step in and some coffee governing body comes in and says like, oh, Finca Dave can't sell all to Cole. If you could spend a day in some person's shoes, coffee person's shoes, who would it be?
I'm thinking on the production side. I'd like to be in the shoes of a producer, so I better understand that side of things.
Yeah.
Because I understand cafes and roasteries. That's where I spend the majority of my time. But I'm going to say the shoes of a coffee producer, a well-renowned coffee producer, and understand what it looks like to deal with harvest, processing, mid-harvest, it's peak production. We got cherries coming in. We're deciding what lanes they're going to. We're washing these ones. We're natural, and these ones
Oh,
we're
wow.
thermal shock.
You did it. And then Finca Dave comes and buys you out.
Sure, dude. Sign that check.
What lessons have you learned along your career that have changed your life?
For me, like at this point, I've worked half my life, give or take, in the industry, and I think the biggest takeaway for me is consistency is key, and keeping to the pathway that we're on, and trying not to stray too far away from that is key. And I think that comes down to many different facets in life, and setting achievable goals, and trying to reward yourself with small victories, taking the small victories rather than always looking for the big home run, and just patting yourself on the back as you go through the day-to-day journey on a consistency basis.
There's a few that stand out. Jesse's going to absolutely hate this, but when she joined the business, that was, Cole and I were running the business, and we were just bumbling along, running and gunning, having fun, but not super organized. She came in the business and like put a lot of processes in place that kind of immediately changed what we were doing.
Well, no, man, it's the same now. We're now not at home. We're just running around.
Yeah.
bumbling
But it changed the
around.
business. It didn't change us. It changed the
I
business.
see. I
It was a
see.
moment in time. No, it was like an inflection point where we were bringing in, someone on like a professional level. She had worked at a big international company, and we're two brothers that have not. And those systems put in place like help level up the business. I think the first time you winning, like another moment in time, you winning nationals was like a big, and making finals on the first year, going to WBC. That 8 years of competing, all that time and energy, like felt like it finally had somewhat paid off. Um, Obviously, with Boram winning for the first, WBC kind of validated like coaching and all the energy, and then traveling, for the last while, like people starting to understand kind of what we did for a long time and what we do. And I think they still don't quite understand, but yeah.
I think the big lesson Dave is trying to say there is surround yourself with people that complement your skill set so you can better express yourself and your skills and your power. Like what I just did, I just distilled his answer down to something that's a little bit more tangible and a take home.
How is automation going to ultimately affect barista training?
Yeah, there's I think
AI's coming for our jobs, man.
Ellen Iverson is doing fine. Okay.
We're talking about practice.
Well, we don't have to practice if automation's coming.
Like,
I think there's two answers here. There's one answer that you get to choose your skill set. You get to choose to use the fundamentals, the manual, all that sort of stuff. And I highly, highly, highly encourage that you learn those skills. The second answer is automation is coming, which is fantastic for the industry, because what's going to happen is day-to-day coffee workers can focus on the experience over anything else. They don't need to worry about the fundamentals. They don't need to worry about looking down at what they're putting together. They can look up and shift the focus to hospitality. They can look up and connect with clients. They can survey the room. They can see what's happening while trusting that the automation is going to deliver a consistent cup of coffee. Automation is not just in the equipment, it's also in the systems that we use, right? We've built systems in our business that people would maybe go, oh, well, I don't have creativity as a barista. Well, you still do. You still have opportunity to change certain variables, but the window is just shrunk so that we don't have one day somebody pulling a 15-gram dose that takes 60 grams out in the espresso, because it's going to affect the flavor of every beverage that goes into. It's just narrowing the window of control to maximize the window of opportunity. So don't look at it as it's coming for our jobs. It's something we can embrace that the whole industry can grow and develop upon.
Love it.
Unbelievable.
Great answer, big guy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I used an automatic answer service to do that.
Yeah.
So what was the craziest thing you did for coffee? This is a story that involves both Dave and I. It was 2017. We're in Brazil.
Yes.
And we're supposed to leave, I think, on a Monday, Sunday. And there's a hurricane that is going through, maybe Hurricane Harvey. I don't know. It doesn't matter the name of the hurricane. There's a hurricane that is going through the eastern side of the USA, so our flight has been canceled or delayed. Maybe it's delayed 5 days out of Sao Paulo. And we're kind of sitting there. We don't really know what to do. We don't want to spend 5 more days in Sao Paulo. It just doesn't really make sense for us. We're on a timeline and, we're on a budget, et cetera, et cetera. And we had been looking for coffees for the business, but we had also been looking for coffees ideally to use in competition. And there was a farm in Colombia that we had been chatting with, and we made a phone call, found some flight opportunities, and ended up canceling our flight, getting that credit, and flying, I believe, that night to Bogota, where we would then spend maybe 1 night or 2 nights at this farm, cup their coffees, and essentially carry home what ended up being the coffee we used that year in the competition, and still managed to get home before the rescheduled flight from Brazil, if I remember correctly. Kind of remained on the same timeline, but essentially took a shot at a very slim little opportunity or narrow opportunity and decided to run with that and used that coffee in the nationals that year. I believe it was third is where we ranked out, and then the next 2 years used that coffee to win the national championship and also used that coffee to compete in the world stage. And you could look up that coffee online if you find it. Put it in the comments below. We'd love to see if anybody tracks down that farm.
Wow, a little Easter egg.
I love Easter eggs, man.
You're the big Easter egg guy.
If you coach multiple participants simultaneously, how do you ensure that innovative ideas and concepts are not disclosed to other competitors?
Yeah, great question. First thing we always do when working with any competitor is we're not telling them what to say. We're not giving them a theme. It's all about us talking to them and elevating what they want to talk about. So that's like a number one priority, and it's really important for us to highlight what they're excited about coffee. So that kind of sets the stage for what they're doing. And then with all of the guys we worked with last year, we would never compare, this person's doing this, you should do that, or this person has this idea, maybe you should use that. Everything stayed kind of locked in a silo, and their idea was their idea and no one else's. So you can see whatever, all the milk drinks are very different. The coffees they're using are very different. The themes and the presentations are completely different. At the very end, they all watched each other and helped each other with little tips on like, you should say this here, or this little tech thing I noticed, or whatever. And it became very much as a team. And we kind of like that idea going forward, as it's like, yeah, we're training, separately, but then at the very end at WBC, it's like a little, boot camp, and they're all working together to achieve this goal. It's really about them getting the most out of their presentation and not feeling like they're competing against one another, because that's not ultimately what's going on.
And part of us doing these episodes of By the Drip is to try to share that knowledge out into the space and tell people that, there is no secret sauce. The secret sauce is within you, and it's within everyone if they can just unlock their own potential. And for us, looking at it from a team perspective and having the two of us plus 4 competitors plus their reciprocal teams just elevated everybody on that team, and it wasn't this individual sport anymore. It became 4 competitors going to try and achieve their dreams simultaneously with their own unique voice, their own unique elements. Though you would see certain parts of their presentation will be delivered the same, because at least for us, that's the way we believe it's the best to deliver tasting notes, or the best to score points on certain elements of the score sheet. If you had the chance to interview anyone, in coffee or not, who would it be and why?
I think in the industry, we got to go George Howell.
Okay, that would be my answer too, actually.
Okay, then you say George Howell. I would say another one would be, I think James Hoffman would be an interesting one. I'd love to hear his story, like his arc, especially in the last couple of years, like how his, YouTube channel and how he's become so well known, what that's like versus he's kind of stepped beyond our industry while representing our industry so much. So I think that would be an interesting one. I think George Howell is like an icon in our industry. He's been buying, coffee for a long time, the ebbs and flows of like what the industry's done and where we've gone and where we've come from. He would have some views I think would be super interesting to hear. And we used his coffee for a little while, so that would be kind of fun.
Okay, team, that's the end of our Q&A. Thank you so much if you contributed a question into our 5,000 subscriber Q&A. It's pretty cool, pretty exciting. We will continue to make content for you. We'll continue to share conversations. We'll continue to voice our opinions and impressions on the industry as we go. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We appreciate it very much. We also write a weekly newsletter that you can find a link down here somewhere in the show notes. If you could subscribe to that, every week Dave and I are sharing insights and thoughts into the greater industry of coffee, from seed market prices to conversations on competition, authenticity. What else have we written about recently?
Decaf, what's going on in the future, where we've come from, processing, most expensive coffee in the world. We're chatting about it all, man.
That's what we drank on this episode, right?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Thank you so much for your support of By the Drip. We will see you soon. We'll continue to brew great coffee, and we're excited for what the future holds. Over and out.
Bye, team.